Jai Shri Ram, this is the How Sanatani Are You, the fifth track. At the outset, I would like to remind you that if you want to become a co author of a book, which will obviously come out after I finish all this activity, in the suggestions, please mention some questions which you think can be included in the book. So once you can do that, then you have a legitimate claim to be a co-author of this wonderful work. Okay, that's point number one. And in our acknowledgements, we will mention all the people who have contributed to our growth. Right? I consider myself a recipient of knowledge from innumerable, anonymous people. In fact, everyone I meet is a guru in some way, because there's something we can learn from everyone we meet. That's a very wonderful, noble sentiment that Hinduism teaches you. Isaac Newton, though of course he plagiarized many of our theories, that is another story. Hmm? Dara Shikoh translated 50 Upanishads into Persian language, first son of Shah Jahan. If he had been the king of India, our history would have been different. This scoundrel Aurangzeb killed all his brothers and imprisoned his father. The rest of the story you know. So, and many Arab scholars who came along with the invaders, they stole, they translated, and actually stole because they never acknowledged from whom they have taken. And these works, Shulba Sutras and Saiva Siddhantas, and so many Vimana Shastras, so many manuscripts have been lost because of the dumb government in 1947. I don't want to name the people. All these leftist jokers. So the net result is our knowledge has been translated. Dara Shikoh translated 50 Upanishads. He called them Sirre Akbar. Dara Shikoh, he said in the Quran, there is a mention of some secret books. Dara Shikoh said those secret books are Sirre Akbar, which means Upanishads. That's what he said. So he translated Ramayana, Mahabharata. Of course, Akbar did something very wonderful. During his time, he employed somebody, I forgot his name, to write an Upanishad called Allopanishad. I will read that out. It is there in Satyartha Prakash. Swami Dayananda Saraswati, in his wonderful magnum of Satyartha Prakash, he mentions Allopanishad. I will read it out to you. You will have a good laugh. Allah Upanishad. So, by the way, Newton, in my opinion, plagiarized a lot of stuff, but he did not acknowledge it. And he was wrong anyway. His theory of gravitation was disproved by Einstein. That's a different thing. But there's one quote of Newton which I am very fond, actually two. One, if I have seen further, I'm quoting, quote unquote, if I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. You see, I don't want to explain that. So that means he is standing on the shoulders of all those people who have already done all the groundwork. Lot of science was developed. So he is openly acknowledging that he is a recipient of all the knowledge, and he has managed to achieve whatever he has achieved. There's another incident in Newton's life. His nephew, I believe, when Newton was on his deathbed at the age of 84, he lived for 84, and I believe his nephew asked him a question, what's your greatest achievement? He said, not marrying, celibacy. I do not know why he said that. He never explained it. I'm tempted to ridicule that. Obviously, we should ridicule that. But let's leave that aside. Then, what he also said was, his nephew, I believe, asked, see, the whole world thinks that you're a great thinker. What do you think of yourself? Newton gave a very humble reply. He said, I'm like a little boy picking pebbles on the seashore. Little boy picking pebbles on the seashore. Now you know what this means. How many seashores, how many beaches, and infinite numbers of pebbles are there. Which means Newton is acknowledging that what he has learnt is just a minute fraction, infinitesimal fraction. So there's so much we don't know. Right? Science is myopic for that matter. Because scientists are studying only matter. They don't study spirit. How can you not study spirit? Because when a person dies, you say he has left, his body is here. So something has left. What is that something? There's only speculation, and metaphysics and philosophy is there, right? But scientists are not really studying that. And quantum mechanics is bamboozling even the scientists. Vedic concepts are very similar to quantum mechanics. So therefore, you must study quantum mechanics. Now, so we will acknowledge. I openly admit. I have read so many authors. I have taken, knowledge from so many sources. I have lost track of it. But interestingly, right from my childhood, I was influenced by ISKCON. I had a darshan of Swami Prabhupada when I was just about 10 years in Calcutta. That was the year 72. And I met Swami Ranganathananda in my childhood. He was the ex-president of Ramakrishna Math. I did a lot of reading during my childhood, and my father taught me Bhagavad Gita in my childhood. There's another person whom I would like to acknowledge, Dr. Swami D.A. Joseph. He is a doctor because he is a PhD scholar. Now, you must be wondering, I will tell you that one of my gurus is a Christian named Hindu. His name is D.A. Joseph. You can find his YouTube videos. No, he's a great scholar. He, long back, I remember watching on YouTube, I do not know, please check, How Sattvic Are You is a questionnaire he developed. I've taken ideas from that. I was inspired after watching that, and that's how I went on to make this How Sanatani Are You. And I want you also to be actively involved. Please, I'm sure some of you are taking the pains to listen to all this. I'm reminding you again, this will become a great book. And if you can think of some questions, please make a note, post them in the comments, or give it to me on WhatsApp. My number is 891-906-9803. 891-906-9803. So let us communicate through WhatsApp. Your questions we'll add, and eventually once this whole activity is over, we will go for a publishing of a book. So now, that is what I wanted to say. Let me just... In the last track, I was talking about Muktika Upanishad, but I didn't complete that discussion. Muktika Upanishad is a conversation between Hanumanji and Sri Rama. And I told you that Sri Rama mentions there is one Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, which is sufficient. And if you can't understand that, it is a very small Upanishad. I think it has got only 12 mantras. It is the shortest of all Upanishads, only 12 mantras. It talks about Om and all the Jagrat, Swapna, Shushupti, Turiya. These are Vedic terminology. Jagrat means when you are awake. Swapna means dream. Sushupti is dreamless sleep. And Turiya. Turiya is the screen on which the whole thing is being put. Turiya is actually your actual nature. Turiya is not a state. That is our actual nature. So, Mandukya Upanishad is very complex. So, Rama actually tells Hanuman, if you can't understand Mandukya Upanishad, only one is sufficient actually, that is sufficient. But if you can't understand that, Rama gives a list of 10. And if you don't understand these 10, he says there are 32. You read these 32. And if you don't understand these 32, then he gives a list of 108. So, Sri Rama listed 108. That is why we say 108. I have 2 volumes on Upanishads where 122 Upanishads are there. Some people say the Upanishads are innumerable. Some say 150 are there. So anyway, Sri Rama listed 108. So now what next? So this is actually a filler in the How Sanatani Are You questionnaire. But I'll add a few questions. One question, what are your hobbies? My hobbies are rhapsodomancy. R-H-A-P-S-O-D-Y. Rhapsody means joy. Rhapsody also means an improvised rendition of a song. Improvised rendition of a song. Mancy means prediction. So rhapsodomancy is similar to that, Chilaka Jyotishyam in Telugu. You can see these guys who carry a small cage in which there is a parrot and a couple of cards. The parrot comes out, picks out the card, and you start reading. You might ridicule that, but they play a very important function. These chaps are amazing psychologists, uh, they will subject you to a wonderful, what you call, cold reading. Cold reading. Cold reading is a term in psychology. By looking at a person and then asking a few questions, you probe, and then you can get a reasonably good picture of what that person is, what his aspirations, desires, and character is, and then this process goes on. So these people, yeah, they can con you too, but then we don't do that. Hindus normally don't do that. Thanks to the influence of these desert cults, a lot of nonsense has crept into Hindu society. So we Hindus believe in karma, because if you do good karma, you will get rewards, you will become rich in the next janma at least, and then you will enjoy. Yeah, I had to stop because Bhairav entered my studio. Bhairav and Bhole are two dogs I have. And Bhairav, suddenly he slipped into my. I don't allow these fellows because they will spoil the room. Anyway, so what was I talking about? My hobby, Rhapsodomancy. I have developed many hobbies anyway. Rhapsomancy means prediction, divination, Divine. To divine means to see the future. Divination means the noun form, act of predicting the future or being able to see something hidden or lost. So rhapsodomancy basically means an improvised rendition of the Bhagavad Gita shlokas. That is Gita rhapsodomancy, that's what I call it. I carry a bag wherever I go. So I ask people to take out a card and then I go about telling them, see, this is what Krishna is telling you. So this is a wonderful skill you can develop. You have to have good vocabulary, you have to learn how to do cold reading, and then our intention is to inspire people, say nice things which will charge them up, motivate them, make them more dharmic and more Krishna conscious. Okay, so you need to study Gita also in order to. We are not going to bullshit here, okay? So don't be under that impression. We are not conning anybody. But by the way, nothing is random. Nothing is random in this life. If you understand karma theory, you will accept that much. So nothing is random in this life. And if a particular card comes up and if a particular shloka comes up, I strongly believe that there must be some purpose behind that shloka coming up for you. Right? So that is there. So that is one of my hobbies. The other hobby is Scrabble. I play Scrabble. I think that's a sattvic hobby. You should also learn how to play Scrabble. I can teach you. We will conduct classes on YouTube now, sometime later. It's a wonderful game. You can earn a lot of money too. Remember, I told you without money you can't do dharmic activities. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Artha is absolutely important. And so we need to have a lot of money to do all the good work that we want to do. So don't shy away from making money. So what other hobbies are there? Please make a list of your hobbies. Do not indulge in those hobbies like, stamp collection, numismatics, coin collection. I do not know. Well, unless you make some money out of it, but it's a waste of time. I think you should be very careful about what kind of hobbies you choose. Are these hobbies making some useful contribution to society? Are you able to inspire somebody using the hobbies? Think about that. Get rid of those dumb hobbies. Right. So, what next? Do you spend for spiritual causes, which means Gita chanting? Not all. I don't recommend a lot of yajna activity and all that. Though yajnas have their own function, Agnihotra is wonderful because it purifies the atmosphere. In the what do you call Bhopal gas tragedy, 1984. Thanks to Rajiv Gandhi, that Anderson rascal ran away. So anyway, lakhs were killed and Union Carbide has not paid any compensation, right? Thanks to the Congress government. So there was one family in Bhopal which survived. Their name is Khushwaha. I think they are Brahmins. They were regularly doing Agnihotra at home. So this Bhopal gas tragedy, when it happened, lakhs died. This family survived. So Swami Dayananda also explains. You can go to any Arya Samaj. They will teach you how to do Havan. And all these Havans and Agnihotra, many idiots who don't know anything are very eager to criticize. There is a word for that. Ultra-crepidarianism, which means bullshitting about something you don't know. And floxy, nausi, nihili, pilification. Floxy, Nausi, Nihili, Pilification. FLOCCI, Floxy, NAUCI, Nihili, Pilification. Which means dismissing something as worthless. So these two habits, perhaps I too had it at one time, I don't deny. But these two are dangerous. Don't talk about something that you don't know. If you do that, then you are indulging in ultra crepidarianism. And don't dismiss something as useless simply because you don't know anything about it. And don't form weird ideas and think that you are right. Don't be opinionated. Opinionated means very stubborn and adamant in thinking that what you think is right. So Floxy, Nausi, Nihili, Pilification, don't indulge in that. And don't indulge in whataboutery. I see many Hindus, grown up people. You ask one question, they will not answer that question. They will talk. Sometime back, animal sacrifice. Now, this is another question. Do you believe animal sacrifice is good and God will be pleased? If you say yes, you get a 0. I don't want to use an expletive now. You get a 0. Now, sometime back, there was a conversation. Some people were there. Some people were talking about animal sacrifice and all that, blah, blah. They were trying to support it. I asked a question, a simple moral dilemma, a thought experiment rather, an intuition pump. Thought experiments are also called intuition pumps. They will pump your intuition. I asked, if Krishna and Rama are right now here with us, and you bring a goat and you want to sacrifice that goat, do you think they will allow you to do that? The answer is simple, no. They won't. Krishna would not, Rama would not. So anyway, there ends the matter. I don't want to waste time on that. So next, spiritual causes. Arrange for Hanuman Chalisa chanting, Gita chanting, lectures on Gita, okay, and all that. So Agnihotra can also be taught. I keep lot of upla, pidakalu, cow patties. They are being sold on Amazon. They are making a lot of money. Don't use these dirty room fresheners and perfume. They are full of chemicals. Later, someday, somebody will tell you you will get a cancer. So use upla, cow dung, and sambrani. Frankincense is the English word. Sambrani, loban, right? Frankincense and gugillu. Lot of stuff is there. And havan samagri is available. You must buy a small, havan kund. You will get it in any good puja store. Keep that at home. Keep it in the office. Small pieces of upla can be done. It purifies the atmosphere. It will create a satvikally charged atmosphere, and I have experienced it. So, how often do you tell lies? That's the next question. Now, if you are telling lies all the time, you get a big 0, obviously. Well, when can lies be told is the question, right? If you are trying to save a life, save somebody's reputation. There's a story in Mahabharata. There was a man. His name was Kaushik. He was an ascetic, and he believed that you must always speak the truth. Satyam eva jayate. So he had an understanding which is obviously distorted. So I believe one day he was sitting under a tree and he was doing dhyana. Some merchants came. They were carrying some jewelry, wealth. Because they were being chased by dacoits. They came and they hid in the underbrush somewhere. So he saw that. So subsequently, after 1 hour, some dacoits came and they asked this fellow, did you notice any merchants passing by from here? Now this man thought he should tell the truth. The truth has to be told. So he told them where the merchants were hiding. The dacoits killed those fellows, robbed them and left, and this fellow went to hell. This fellow landed in hell. So that is the story. So he asked, I was doing all this, wonderful, great work. Why am I in hell? Yamaraj tells him, this is what you did, you idiot. Is that the time to talk the truth? The satya becomes asatya at that time. So, adharma looks like dharma sometimes. That's the problem. Most people, dharma is such a very subtle concept. You can understand dharma very well if you live the Gita and recognize Krishna and Rama in your heart. So adharma looks like dharma very often today. Dharma looks like adharma. That's another problem. Very rarely will you come across dharma which is clearly dharma. right? So how often do you tell lies? So you can take 10 points if you think you're telling lies. When you're dealing with snakes and vipers, you see in other religions they are told to lie, right? Well, I think I'm entitled to quote now 3.28 Quran. And even Christian pastors, they will tell you some lies in order to convert you, because they believe that whatever method you use, if you can convert that fellow, uh, you are fulfilling a grand commission. That's the great commission in Christianity and in Islam also. Dawat. Many Hindus use the word Dawat as if it means a party. Dawat does not mean a party. Hello. Dawat actually means an invitation for you to join Islam, become a Muslim. Or actually, it is a veiled threat. If you do not, then we will come and attack you. Be ready to fight us. So, this is the meaning of Dawat. So, 3.28 Quran. The Holy Quran says that Muslims should not befriend kafirs. Kafir is the infidel. And only when they are in a minority, or when they are not powerful enough to challenge them, that is the time they should dissimulate. Kitman is another concept in Islam. Kitman means deliberate omission. They will not deliberately tell you what is there in their holy book, because if you come to know, then you will ask questions which they cannot answer, right? And the Quran also says 5.101, please don't ask questions. Don't ask questions, because if you ask questions, you will stray from the path. So asking questions is not allowed. Even in the Christianity, the Bible also, asking questions will amount to blasphemy, right? But they can't answer. That is why they will pronounce all judgments. So therefore, I think I am allowed to tell you this much at least. Otherwise, Hindus must make every effort to learn their scriptures. I have done my bit. I have finished reading both the Bible and the Quran and the Hadith also. I have bought a lot of books. So it is high time we spread this knowledge and let Hindus know. There are so many ex-Muslims on YouTube are there who are doing a great job. Now, so if you learn all this, then you will be safer. My intention is not to hurt anybody's feelings. My intention is to ask honest questions, and when I don't get sensible answers, I move on. I know that they are incapable. That has been my journey too in my life. So, so that was how often do you tell lies was over, I think. So the other question is, do you have cow patties at home? Upla, cow dung patties. Please buy them. If you don't have them, you lose 10 points. Do you have a tulasi plant at home? That's the next question. If you don't have, lose 10 points. Get a tulasi plant. By now you have realized this whole activity is not just assessing how Sanatani we are, so that we get to know how un-Hindu we are, so that we become authentic Hindus someday. But along with that, we are discussing interesting concepts. This is the sar, the quintessence. Sri Krishna says in Uttara Gita, please listen, Uttara Gita, Krishna gave 5 Gitas. Okay, 5 Gitas. 5 Gitas, Bhagavad Gita, Uttara Gita, Anu Gita, Uddhava Gita, Kama Gita. Kama Gita is a conversation between Sri Krishna and Yudhishthira, Dharmaraja. Only 22 shlokas. So 5 Gitas Krishna gave. So don't think Krishna gave only 1 Gita. In the Uttara Gita, Sri Krishna says, Ananta Shastram Bahuvedittavyam. Ananta Shastram Bahuvedittavyam Alpascha Kalam Bhavascha Vignaha Yat Sarabhutam Tadupasitavyam Hamso Yadat Kshiramivambu Mishram. Krishna says Ananta Shastram. That means Shastras are infinite. In Hinduism, oh my God, the Vedas have been classified. It is Ved. Vyasa made it into 4. And Upanishads and Shastras and Kavyas. Oh my God, it is running into lakhs. Krishna is saying Ananta Shastram Bahu Veditavyam. There is so much to learn. Alpascha Kalam. You have very little time. You don't know when you are going to kick the bucket or pass away. That's the euphemism. So Alpascha Kalam Bhavascha Vignaha. Lot of difficulties, obstacles will always be coming up. So right now that fellow Bhairav came into the room. Something will happen. I have to run. So Bhavascha Vigna. Yat Sarabhutam Tadupasitavyam. So Krishna is saying, take the essence, take the essence, take the essence. Don't waste your time reading all that. It's not possible. I will tell you the story of Bharadwaja Rishi later. He thought he will study the whole of the Vedas, and he did not get married. When his parents were trying to arrange the marriage, he said, no, no, I want to study the Vedas. So he studied for 100 years. I became old man. And then I believe Indra appeared. He said, what do you want? I'm pleased with you. He said, I want 100 more years because I want to complete study of Veda. Indra, I believe, granted, okay, 100 years. 200 years passed. Same thing happened. What do you want? 100 more years. I have not completed. Same thing happened. 3 times, 4 times. 400 years have passed. And the 5th time, I believe, Indra, when he came, again the same situation, he guessed this fellow is going to say. So Indra said, hey, listen, man, Mr. Bharadwaja, look at those 3 huge mountains. They are the Vedas. Okay. And in these 400 years, he picked up a fistful of sand from the ground and said, all that you have learned in the 400 years is the fistful of sand. Veda Ananta vai Veda. Vedas are Ananta. Vyasas and Rishi, and they all gave us something. There is infinite. Akashic records is a word they use. You can tune into the Vedas, right? You have to fine tune your mind, you can tune in. And that's why Krishna also said, Shriyan Dravyamaya Jagna Jnana Yajna Paratna Parantapa Sarvam Karmakhilam Partha Jnane Parisamapyati. I said this in the last track. So, Hamso Yada Kshiram Ivambu Mishram. Krishna is saying, take the essence like the swan, the spiritual swan. The spiritual swan is believed to be capable of separating water and milk. So therefore I am telling you, don't waste your time trying to read too many books. Take the sar and move on, because life is too short in Kali Yuga. So the next question is, do you have Ganga Jal and Gaumutra at home? No, 10 points you lose. Minus 10. I mean, not minus 10, you don't get the points. Honestly, I have been taking Gaumutra Arka, A-R-K-A. Arka means distillate. You know, some 6 years back, I was detected with, my wife is a postgraduate in physiotherapy. She was the director of Andhra Mahila Sabha College. She was. Now, I had swollen knees. I was detected with arthritis. And you can very well imagine the English doctor, they will give you. I didn't take anything. Swollen knees, and I had problem with the hip, and knees were huge, they're swollen. So kneecap replacement eventually. I didn't do anything. I just started taking Gaumutra Arka because I read a lot on that. I believe the Americans have taken 2 patents. We should get them cancelled, because international patent law actually says patents should not be granted when there is any history of prior use. Thanks to Manmohan Singh ji and Congress government at that time, they took the, I believe, patent at that time. So these people, great economist Manmohan ji, Sun Sohan Ming, I call him. That is a spoonerism. Sun Sohan Ming, he didn't do anything. We should challenge it. So I did a lot of reading, and I'm using 2 brands actually. One is Gita Press. Gita Press comes from Haridwar, right? Rishikesh, they have the ashram. That is, the cows are fed on the foothills of the Himalayas. So that is a Gaumutra which is distilled. That's called Arka. Please take it. I have been consuming that every day, even now, today morning also, 10 ml with some 30 ml water, take it. And after 20 minutes, don't take anything else. I am cured fully of my arthritis and also cholesterol, triglycerides. About 10 years back, my cholesterol was so high, triglycerides, I don't remember the number, it was some 350, terrible. And there were some problems in the ECG also. And the doctor gave me a long list of statins. Again, I didn't take anything, not a single statin. I went on the Gomutra diet. I changed my lifestyle, I started taking Gomutra. Now I'm fit as a fiddle. So if you can't believe this, I am a living testament of the efficacy of Gomutra. And one of my friends, Shri Brundadhar Rao, is the Child Rights Commissioner here in Telangana. He has a farm in Dornakal. He has also he is producing Gaumutra Arka with the addition of Tulasi and turmeric. So I can show you that in some other video. He is doing great work. So this is also there. So please, if you don't have it, you lose points. So just a second. The next question is, do you know what is the Jaya Mantram? Jaya Mantram is a mantram chanted by Hanumanji hmm, in the Sundarakanda. In olden days, Hindus used to chant this before they go to battle. So please learn about the Jaya Mantram. If you don't know, sorry, you didn't get 10 points you could have got. I will post Jaya Mantram later. Now the next question is, at what time do you get up in the morning? Now this is an idea I have borrowed from Swami D.A. Joseph. I mentioned earlier. In one of his talks, he says, of course, the idea is not new. Brahma Muhurtam, about 1.5 hours before sunrise, roughly 4:30 a.m. If you if you get up at what time do you get up? If you get up at Brahma Muhurtam, there is lot of science. Even the Americans have done research. That is called Saraswati Yama, because Saraswati Devi starts working at this time and between 4 to 6 a.m. and Sattvic radiations emanate. Sattvic radiations are pervasive in the universe, so you can fine tune your spiritual meter. So get up at Brahma Muhurtam. Robin Sharma writes in his book that you should get up very early and then get a kickstart and all that. Fine. When are you getting up? Our Prime Minister sleeps only for 4 hours, right? I'm sure he is getting up at Brahma Muhurtam only. Look at what he has achieved. I consider him as an Amsha avatar of Sri Rama. He is an Amsha avatar. The fraction and matter. So anyway, then bathing. Joseph Swamiji in his speech mentioned this. Daiva Snana. If you take a bath before 5:30, he calls it Daiva Snana. Daiva Snana. Godly bath. Okay. If you bathe at sunrise, then he calls it Manushya Snana. Human bath. But if you bathe after sunrise, then he calls it Rakshasa Snana. That means we are all Rakshasas actually. Okay. So, next question. So think about this. This is a very wonderful thing. I think you can change a few things bit by bit, inch by inch. Life is a cinch. Yard by yard, life is hard. Inch by inch, life is a cinch. Yard by yard, life is hard. Every day, if you can start one small good habit and persist with it for some time, it will become part and parcel of your routine. That is how champions are born. Michael Phelps, 10,000 hours of practice, he acquired 23 Olympic gold medals. In just Beijing alone, 8 gold medals. He was asked, how did you manage all this? He said, 10,000 hours of practice I have done. So my dear friends, all of us are born champions. But thanks to the stupid education, Macaulay manufactured education system, Indian education system, you are an educated Indian, which means you are a victim of the Indian education system. I was a victim of the Indian education system. To decolonize myself, I had to really struggle. Rajiv Malhotra books also, I've read a lot. So, the next thing is, do you take a nap in the afternoon? Well, Vedas say you should not. Siesta, I take. So, I am also losing. I'm not getting 10 points. But that's a short nap. Okay. And do you have a soundproof study room? That's the next question. You should create a soundproof study room and Swadhyaya Pravachanabhyam na pramaditavyam Vedam, Taittiriya Upanishad. It says, do not neglect your duty of preaching the Veda. Every Hindu has a duty to acquire knowledge and disseminate knowledge. So, Swadhyaya Pravachanabhyam na pramaditavyam. Swadhyaya means studying of scripture. Swadhyaya means studying of Gita. Gita is the essence. Krishna already told you, don't run after all the Vedas and Upanishads. You don't have time. Study Gita. And that too, the essence of the Gita. Take that. I'll be launching Essence of the Gita series. So, take that. And it is your duty as a Hindu to spread also this. Because that's what the Veda is commanding. Vedic injunction. Swadhyaya pravachanabhyam na pramaditavyam. This is actually the valedictory speech given by the teacher in Taittiriya Upanishad, telling his students that do not neglect this important activity of preaching Vedic wisdom. I would say Gita, that is sufficient. So do you have a soundproof study room? And are you planning to do just what I said now? Okay, we will stop this here. This is actually a filler, but I think I did ask you some questions. I'm sure some of you are making a note, and I'm sure some of you are actively thinking what questions can be added, so that you will also become a co-author, and we will produce a great book which will change the mindset of mankind. Right? We should make the whole world Ramarajya. Eh? Only Hinduism can save this world. Jai Shri Ram.